Good evening. It is Ironkar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. Today is a very important day for you as it is election day. And all of you have many high hopes for that, how this election will turn out. What's important to remember is not whether your particular wishes are granted, but whether or not you can continue to be at peace and harmony in your life. Now, it is your ability to always find the central point or have the thought or make the judgment that makes you happy. It is really your choice in every day. You can choose to make judgments that make you unhappy if you wish. You could say that the government is wrong, the elections turned out wrong. You could say all kinds of things about your life, saying this isn't right and that isn't right and my life is miserable. But if you wish to proclaim these things and wish to experience them, remember it is all your decision to do that. Yes, it is truly your decision to experience unhappiness in your life. You make those judgments which make you unhappy. And there are always alternative judgments that you can make. The best judgment is perhaps one that is neutral in its effect. It neither makes you happy, nor it makes you sad, or unhappy, or angry, or frustrated. It leaves you feeling neutral, so to speak. Of course, you could say that this is exactly what I wanted and I am very happy for it. And that will make you happy. You could look at something and say, why, that is not what I expected, but I see that this is good. And I judge this to be good. And I know that everything will turn out right. And no matter what is going on in the world, you as an individual have the ability and the right to work at making and creating and continuing to create your own happiness and joy. You can choose to look at those things that make you feel better, that make you feel good, and ignore those things that cause you frustration or anger or pain. Because you are the person who is in charge of your own mind and your own thinking. And so, being the person in charge, you can decide not to think something that makes you unhappy, not to make a judgment that makes you unhappy. Postpone judgments if you need to. Say, well, I am not going to judge this now because I am having a reaction which I am not happy over. So I am not going to think about this. I'll think about it later and decide whether it is good or bad. I choose to think about something that causes me happiness in this moment, and then make that choice, make that decision, and think about what you wish to think about. You can think about your children, grandchildren, your friends. You can think about having fun, games that you play, people that you meet. You can think about going for a walk, planting a garden, doing anything that you wish. These things can cause you happiness and peace. Other things, if you were to contemplate them, may cause you unhappiness. It is your choice. And remember that you are making that choice to be unhappy because you are spending too much time thinking about possibilities, perhaps, worries. What if this happens? What if that happens? And who knows what is going to happen? The only thing that you know is what decision are you going to make? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? Are you going to feel happy or not? It is as simple as that. When you make those decisions, you will experience whatever it is you have decided to experience. And so I recommend to you that when thoughts enter your head, if you can spend just a second to decide whether or not they are making you happy or unhappy, choose to only keep the thoughts and the ideas that make you happy. Create goals for yourself, which will make you happy and joyful. And it doesn't matter whether that goal is to just have a good night's sleep, to enjoy a television show, to eat some ice cream, to enjoy almost anything. It is strictly your decision on whether you are happy or unhappy in your life. Are there any questions on what I have spoken about in this evening? Or are there other questions you would like to ask? I am open to any and all of your questions.
I have a question.
Do not ask me the outcome of the election.
I have a question about happiness.
Yes.
Different spiritual disciplines teach different things about what happiness is. Course in Miracles, one of the lessons says, God's will for me is perfect happiness. Abraham Hicks talks a lot about our desires and how to fulfill our desires. Some disciplines talk about material things in the world or forms being illusions. And Buddhism, I think, teaches to let go your grasping on the world and let go of desires. So peace must be, at least in my mind, peace must be part of happiness. But it can't be that we get everything we want. What exactly is happiness?
That is an interesting question, because happiness is however you choose to define it for yourself. Now, the reason that some religions focus on not having desires, in other words, not wanting physical things, is because these things can often bring about unhappiness. If you desire something that you cannot have or you cannot obtain, then you cause yourself to be unhappy. And so that is why they say, do not be focused upon such material things. Do not make your happiness dependent upon relationships. Do not get attached to anything. You must be free. You must let yourself go. And that is an excellent suggestion, because if you follow it, you will find that you are, for the most part, at peace, because you are not trying to have something come out a special way that suits your desire. When you let go of desires, then you are willing to deal with what you have rather than what you would like to have, whether that is something in the form of a relationship, a possession, anything that you would like to have. You do not have it. And so you may be making yourself unhappy. If it is a goal for you to try and reach it, and you are happy with just striving and knowing that someday you will make that goal, why then you may create much happiness for yourself. So I understand what you are asking, but truly happiness is what you decide happiness is. When you I'm trying to think of an example in which you would say, I'll be happy when. How many times do you say that? I'll be happy when. When I finish my work. I'll be happy when I have cleaned my house. I'll be happy when this traffic jam moves along and I can finally get to my destination. I'll be happy when. Is your happiness dependent upon whatever it is that follows that word when? Is that truly what makes you happy? And if it is, even if it is just for a second, at least acknowledge, wow, this traffic jam has cleared up. I am happy. I am going to reach my destination soon. Wow, I got what I wanted. It was exactly right. I am happy. Do you acknowledge that moment when you have received that which you have predicated your happiness on? Do you affirm that I am happy that I have received this thing, that this has happened to me, that this has come true? Whatever it was that followed the word when, and it can be many simple things. When I'm finished with my housework, do you look around and say, I am happy, I am finished with my house, it looks beautiful. I'll be happy when I finish the dishes. And you've had guests for dinner, so there are normally large numbers of dishes. Do you say, done, I have tidied up my kitchen, everything is finished? That is your happiness. And sometimes all it takes to acquire more happiness is to continue to notice when things go the way you would like them to. I know that you are a teacher. Do you not feel happiness when you have been successful in teaching someone to do that? In your own mind, at least, do you acknowledge, I am so happy that this student has finally mastered that which I have been instructing him to do? Or do you just move to the next problem, the next area the poor child needs help in, or the next thing that he needs to learn? Take a moment and say, I am happy because this is done. This is finished. Everything is good. This is what you need to say to yourself, and then you will really and truly feel happiness. Well, that is what happiness is. Now, you have mentioned that happiness for you includes some peace. What causes you to lose peace? Perhaps it's your judgment or an observation that something is not going the way you would prefer it to go. And that is a very good word and method to look at for yourself. You have preferences in life. You would prefer to be able to buy a new car, but now is not the time. So you don't make yourself unhappy because it was only a preference. If you can upgrade your desires to preferences, then you are letting go of the need to fulfill your desire. You are staying in tune with what you would prefer. You will continue to work until you obtain what you prefer, or perhaps you will switch to something different, where there are many times you would like something, and when it does not materialize or come about, you find yourself saying, well, I will take this instead, and maybe that will be just as good or better, or you leave yourself open. And so I think just understanding this about happiness, that happiness is self-created. It is whatever your mind says it is. And know that not receiving that which you want does not have to make you unhappy, and that you are powerful in that regard, that you are not unhappy when something happens that doesn't go the way that you wanted it to. You can always say, oh, well, it will turn out all right later, or it will turn out okay in the end. what everyone has the ability to be happy in their life. And that is the focus. If you look to the macro, as they exclaim, everything that's going on around you, everything that's happening, chances are you are going to find many things to be unhappy about. But if you narrow your focus to the micro, but I don't want it to be so small, but just that which is appropriate for you. Is your life going well? Are you doing the things you want to do? And if so, that is good. Be happy. If not, why change? Either change your desire or change what you do so that you can decide that I am happy that this is happening. I am happy that this is going on. Everything can turn out in the end. Make that progress for yourself. It carries you over temporary unhappiness. You say, well, it's not working today, or it's not working right now, but it will be working tomorrow, or next week, or next month, or in the end, it will turn out okay. There are many things in your life which temporarily do not work. Your internet goes down. Sometimes the electricity goes down. You have trouble with the locks or a light bulb. There are so many things which are temporary obstacles in your life. Look at your hard things as being temporary and know that things will change and they will eventually come out right. There is a saying, if it hasn't come out right, why then it hasn't finished happening. And employ that in your life, which will give you the optimism and the patience that you need to be happy in every day. Are there additional questions on this subject? All right, if there are no more questions on happiness for the moment, are there questions on anything else you would like to ask?
I would like to ask more about the Course of Miracles. I want to know more about that.
Can you speak up just a little bit or come in closer to your computer? I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Okay, years ago, I missed an opportunity to take the Course on Miracles, the Course of Miracles, and I just wanted to know more about it because I wasn't able to take advantage of that opportunity. Is there any way you could help me?
Yes, I understand. I know about the Course in Miracles, and basically it is an excellent course for people to go to find, to rediscover love and peace within themselves. So that is an excellent, I cannot give you lessons in it.
No, but is it available?
Well, yes. At the church that sponsors this, twice a month, they have a meeting after the church service. I do not know if you live close to the church. For a while, it was available as I am speaking to you over Zoom, but it has remained in the church. And you can go to the church after the service. It is, I believe, on the second and fourth Sunday of the month, and after the church service, about 1 o'clock, or maybe 12:30.
12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock.
Oh, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's kind of early because I'm always running up there with my coffee in hand.
So you can go.
I may have to look into maybe.
They do request a donation, but it is fairly minimal.
Yeah, that would be difficult for me. I guess I'll have to look into maybe another time and location closer by.
Yes, You could probably look up on the internet for a Course in Miracles that might be held over the internet.
Okay. And let's see, what did I want to ask? That you said sometimes we have to be patient in order to get our prayers answered. And
Yes, I'm having difficulties hearing you, so speak closer to your computer.
just wondered, like you said, we have to be patient in order for some of our prayers to be answered, and that eventually they will be.
It always helps to be appreciative. It always helps to be optimistic. It even helps even more to not pre-decide exactly what you want to have happen and how it is going to happen.
That sometimes I see, yeah. Sometimes things happen that you can't explain that are better for you than what you had wanted.
Yes, sometimes that is true. And that is best when you let God, Spirit, those helpers that you have, solve the problem for you. So if your problem, whatever your problem is, if you just ask for it to turn out good, to turn out all right, and say that you know that it is happening, because everything comes around full circle and the best answers and solutions will come in this situation. By repeating statements such as that, you send the energy out into creation, into the law of creation, and you allow the law to take care of it. So therefore, you are not hampering it or limiting it by making sure that it happens the way you think is best, that you just allow that which is best to manifest. So you can always say, I am worried about whatever it is, and I give thanks, for I know that the solution will come. And it will be the best solution that is possible, and everyone will be happy.
That'll be wonderful. Okay. And I know it's happened in the past. I've been very lucky and grateful. Okay.
Are there other questions? Are there no other questions?
Well, okay, another question is, do you believe our lives are predetermined? That
Can you try and speak up a bit?
that our lives are predetermined?
Oh,
That
no. How could you have free will if your lives are predetermined?
I mean, okay, what
And
I mean
everyone
is
has
your
been
span
given
of
free
life.
will.
I meant span of life. Like, is it written when we are going to leave this world?
Some situations in life, when you choose your parents,
Yeah, I would like to.
and your time of birth, you come into a certain situation. So their family could be a very loving one, a very good one, a not so good one. And whether it's good or loving or a hard or difficult childhood, or whatever it has, and you've got the heredity of your parents, the DNA, that this sets you up as an individual to have certain circumstances and certain ideas manifest in your life. And you know what those potentials are. As a result, that which you are, some things are that are predetermined or meant to be. So within your family circle of friends and things, there's the potential to meet certain people. Now, this may be a spouse, someone that you fall in love with, or you may not fall in love with him, or you may fall in love with him and he doesn't love you. So that a past life, a karmic relationship may manifest in your life because of the circumstances you have chosen. But how it manifests, how you handle it, is entirely up to you. Now, sometimes some people choose a situation or a lifetime, they will be predisposed to have difficulties in their life, such as certain illnesses, or have difficulties with hearing or blindness or paralysis, may get exposed to things like COVID, which may leave them with difficulties because of the severity of the illness. These things can come into people's life. Is it predetermined? To a certain extent, it is. You have the exposure to it. How it turns out is still up to you. There is no predetermined time of death. So that there just is no predetermined time of death. But if you take actions in such a way that you do foolish things, well, you may bring about an early death for yourself, an early transitions if you do not look after your body. If you take care of yourself and you lead a reasonably good life, chances are you will live a long time, or perhaps not. It really is entirely up to you. At some point in time, based upon your heredity, your DNA, the actions you have taken, the body slowly ages and cannot sustain itself. And so transition is inevitable, but it is not predetermined that you will die when you are 70, that you will transition when you are 80, or that you will transition at the age of 40 or 50 or whatever. It is simply a matter of your actions may bring it about prematurely, or perhaps you will live a very long life. Is that helpful?
Yes, very. Thank you. Very
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
I have one.
Go ahead, Doug.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I've seen pastors on TV, like on a Sunday, and different ones say, God told me this or that, and which direction to go. And maybe they're in tune more to that, or maybe how do you know, if God's telling you something, or how do you get in touch with angels or spirits? Maybe some are more in touch with them than others.
Some of them are more talkative than others. It depends on how much you utilize them and the relationship you have developed with them. If you wish to have a good relationship with your spiritual guides, so to speak, you can start talking to them. You can choose to say hello, thank you for being with me. I'm going to need help with this decision, and give me some information that might help me make the decision. And you have to tell them what's wrong or your decisions, what you need to decide, and then be patient. Now, you maybe need to ask the question a few times. And in the beginning, you may get the answer, surprise, surprise. Suddenly, the information will just come to you in some way. It may come as an advertisement in the mail. It may come from a conversation you were having with a friend. It may come in strangest ways over the TV set where a situation comedy and they have a situation similar to what you are seeking for, and the answer comes. Now, if you are looking for them to make a decision for you, you will not get an answer because they cannot tell you what is best. They can get the people who believe that they have been told that this is the way to go. More have been within their own mind have come to recognize that this particular solution is the right one for them. And they are not being told to go that way, but they may express it when they are talking to people as if they were guided to make that decision. And in a sense, they have been guided to make that decision because ideas come to you. Now, some of the things that you are thinking about there'll be new ideas that just come to you. When you seek a solution for anything in your life, and you seek knowledge, and you ask for that knowledge, then so it is that this will come to you. Suddenly it will be there. It may be an opinion, but it is knowledge. So that you have an opinion or understanding that thus and so will be happening. Or this is what it means, or this is a possibility. If you carry this full across in your mind, think about it, it comes to a logical conclusion. And so your decision gets made. You see, information will come to you in some way, shape, or form, and it may just materialize in your head. Now, those people who have practiced speaking to their guides, that these people are more open to hearing, in a sense, what comes into their head. And they feel it in the way of communication. They almost hear it as words that come in. And when this happens to you, you may think it is all your imagination. That, oh, you're just telling yourself what you want to hear. And so you'll disregard it. But it could be your spirit guide giving you the answer that you sought. So it is up to you to listen carefully to your own thoughts. Even if you think you are just thinking them, even if you think it is your imagination, this could be your communication from spirit. And it probably is your communication from spirit, if it is advancing you at all in the direction that you wish to go or to know or to understand. And everyone is psychic in some way, shape, or form. It is part of your spiritual self, your soul that animates your body. And as a result, this information is also coming through other channels and other ways. And so that you may just intuit it in such a way where if you keep asking the questions, someday you're going to get the reply or the answer that you seek. So when people at church say they heard it from spirit, or spirit is telling them, or they have a relationship with the angels, these are entities which are also helpful, and they got this by asking angel so-and-so the question, and this is the answer they receive. This could be exactly what is happening, but it takes wanting to do it and not feeling silly when you ask for something and you say, where can I find my, oh, what will happen if? And suddenly what seemed like a mystery will suddenly be obvious to you. And you had your answer. It's as simple as that. And as I have said, for those people who have already been practicing it, they will tell you that it came from spirit. They will tell you it came from God. They will tell you that it came from the angels. But all these are part of you. It is important to know that within yourself is a mighty spirit called your soul. And this soul is always in communication with the spirit world, if you will, or God's world, whatever, in heaven, wherever you would like to think of it. And as a result, you are always connected to God. You are part of God. And so when you want to know something and you want help with something, you need only to ask. Ask that you be helped, that you be guided. And you will find that you get that help that you need.
I talk and ask, but I feel like I don't get answers.
Yes,
Sometimes.
yes, that's
Sometimes-
very normal. And sometimes the answers are slower in coming.
Yeah,
You just have to be patient with them. And it really depends upon the questions you are asking. So are you asking? Try asking for simple things, such as, if you've forgotten something, where did you leave it? If you've lost something, where is it? Can you find it?
I can relate to that. And sometimes I get a message, but I have like, well, what do I do or why? You know, I get a thought or something. And,
Sometimes you get a message about what do you do?
well, I ask, and then I ask like why or what do I do?
Well, you see, if you were asking, what should I do? They're not going to tell you what you should do. And if you're asking why, well, that may come to you, because why did this happen? Why did this person ask that way? And then you may suddenly understand. You see, why is not a bad question, but what should I do? It's not necessarily a question that they can answer for you, because you have free will. You can just ask for some guidance, which is much better, because you can get information then, but they can't tell you what to do because you have free will.
I understand that. Thank you.
You're welcome. There was another person speaking with a question.
I want to know what you said before about us coming into this life and like kind of predetermining what happens. I've experienced people that have gone against themselves in a sense and let their bodies die because they didn't listen to what was being told to them. But then I've also experienced another person that had, I mean, there was no clue, no reasoning to what happened to her, and she died from it. And so I'm trying to figure out, did she do that on purpose?
Oh, that she made the decision to leave this world on purpose?
Yeah, that she got something that was, deadly, basically. But it seemed to come from nowhere. It's not like she was ignoring life or not taking care of herself.
Yes, so she became ill, is what you
Yes.
were saying, and it whatever the illness was that did kill her, such as the COVID illness, which which helped transition so many people.
Mhm.
So you are saying, so what is your question there? You're still trying to
Okay, I
figure
could
out-
understand what you said before about people not taking care of themselves and therefore, they could die
Yes, but I was
faster
speaking.
than they would otherwise.
Yes, but I was speaking in general with the maintenance of the body, so to speak, when I was speaking of that. You all have a certain amount of maintenance you do to your body. You feed it, you provide it with fluids, which it needs to be well. You exercise, you do things, and you think. And in general, that is like maintenance for the body. It is possible that I do not know. I certainly could not tell you why an individual may get sick and die what you would consider to be prematurely. Death is not a punishment. Death, in a way, is a reward. It happens. It is part of the cycle of the soul. Perhaps she was finished with what she had to do, although you may not think so. Maybe you thought that there was more to go and she was still planning a future somewhere. And
Yes, she was. She had a lot of things in mind to do, and she was going in that direction. That's why I was like really surprised.
But it may have been that it was really, as far as if she led a good life, a happy life, it would be normal to continue to think about moving forward in that life. Yes? Yes.
Yes.
And so if she had accomplished everything she came there for, without her knowledge, so to speak, she just may have reached the perfect place to transition. And so it would be normal for her to have goals and aspirations that are still out there. So she had them, but she became ill and she transitioned. Perhaps her work here was done. She had learned or experienced or completed whatever she came here to do. And this would not necessarily be in her mind, because she would not then be normal. She would be suicidal and trying to end her life, and that would not be good.
Right.
So this just happens, and so you must look at it that way.
Okay. All righty.
Or try asking her.
Well, I can't now. She's
Oh,
already
yes,
passed.
you can.
Huh? Oh, yeah, I
You
can.
can.
Yes, that's true.
Yes,
Okay.
just talk to her a little bit. She may not answer you, because I do not know when this transition occurred for you, whether it was years ago or
It was a few years ago, yeah.
yeah, so that she may have lost interest in the physical plane, and so she may not be paying attention or may be absorbed elsewhere. And so you may not get an answer, but you can continue to ask and always ask the question. And eventually, surprise, surprise, you may find an answer.
Wow, cool. Okay. All right, thanks.
Are there other questions? You know, they do tell you to pray to the saints. Well, all those people who have gone before you, in a sense, are saints. And so if one of your loved one has passed, has transitioned into spirit, you can continue to talk to them. And those of you who try to stay in contact and communicate happy things, not sad things, not always asking why did this happen or how could you have left, or saying things that might make them feel unhappy, although it is not possible in spirit for you to feel unhappy. But not being able to answer, knowing that they would not be able to answer you with a satisfactory answer, that they may not choose to answer at all. But if you continue to talk to them and you say, Dora, it was a beautiful day today. I got to do these things. It's just like sending a message over the internet or through the mail. And you talk to them and tell them it was wonderful. If they might have been interested in anything that happened that you shared, they may return, they may maintain a greater interest in the relationship that you used to have and maintain a better relationship with you. But it is natural once you are in spirit. Some people lose any attachment to the physical plane almost immediately. Some are not ready to lose it right away. And so you may hear from them more likely up to a point, and then they will stop communicating because they will have done whatever they wanted to do, and they are moving on in their spiritual life, the same as you move on from situations in yours. And so you have to look at this and realize this, that you cannot always maintain communication forever. But sometimes you can, since there is really no time in spirit, but there is movement. It is so hard to explain. I am not going to explain it. So if you, I hope you could understand what I was saying, that sometimes people stay around for a while, making sure their loved ones are okay for a bit, and then they move on and they don't check with them anymore because a lifetime is just one of many. Are there other questions?
Well, how come then you can call somebody that was, gone long ago? How come you can call them and ask them something? If
Oh, well, you can do that. You have free will.
you do it, but you've done it too. I mean, you if somebody asks you to contact somebody or something like that, and you can ask them to come and
yes, I do
whatever.
that occasionally for some people, and Juana is more likely to be the one that is going to facilitate the communication. Yes, that can be done.
So how do you guys over there convince these people to come and talk to us when they do it? They've given up on us.
It is very hard to explain a situation in place where everyone is one and everyone is separate. How about a bowl of spaghetti? It is filled with many individual pieces, but it is a bowl of spaghetti. It is all the same, but it is filled with many different pieces. And if you want to, you could find and choose which piece you wanted to eat if you only wanted to eat one. And so try to look at that spirit life as perhaps that, to know that we are all one. We are not separate from one another. On the earth plane, you are all one. The thing that separates you is what is called your ego. The ego keeps you separate from other people. Its job is to keep you separate, to maintain your separateness. If you can let go of your ego, you will see that you are all the same. You may have different thoughts, you may have different families, but you are all the same. Everyone desires the same things. Everyone wants peace. Everyone wants happiness. Everyone wants security. And everyone wants loving relationships in their life. And So you are all the same. But you are all different. You have different DNA, you have different faces, you have different bodies. But underneath this world, we are all one. Underneath. All the animals, the plants they are all united in their own selves. So that is the thing that is very difficult for you to understand. And if you need to talk to someone in spirit, I cannot guarantee that it would happen. It would be up to one to make the connection. And it would be up to whether it is possible for that person to utilize the medium, which may or may not be. It can be very difficult for someone who is not ready to do that. For myself, it is something that I have decided to do, to be of service to mankind in this way, to help those who associate with the medium and choose to come to these meetings, to be of service to give them news, information, and guidance. For those who have not chosen this as a venue, so to speak, please remember that I am not, in a sense, related to the medium. That I am not an entity, a spirit that has been with her in a past life. She has allowed herself to be used as an instrument and has the ability to step back to allow this to happen. And so I can speak through her. There was a time before she evolved to a certain level of being when I could not utilize her as my medium. But I can now, and so I can be of service in this way. I have also used other mediums and do use other mediums to speak, so that I may help more than others. And this is my choice in spirit, to try to be of help and service through education and understanding and knowledge. And
Well,
so
thank
it
you
is
very
my blessing when you have a question
Mhm.
that I am able to answer. Are there other questions for this evening?
Yes, I have just, I don't know, Doug's question kind of got me to thinking about preachers. I want to ask this question carefully, so I'm not actually making a statement through the question, but asking a question. I do listen to one preacher. I'm in my 60s now, and finally in my life, I found one preacher that I believe is preaching basically the truth. But it's not to down talk the Bible at all. The Bible is a good book to read, a lot of wisdom in it. And many who had metaphysical experiences have had read the Bible many times, such as Edgar Casey, and then learned, that there's much beyond this world and what we see here and experience here. The Course in Miracles has pointed out very clearly that God cannot both be a judge and a being that would lay guilt, a being that could send anyone to slay and rob and rape and pillage from other groups of people. That he is a God that is all forgiving. So we're taught through that discipline that a God of love cannot be confused with that type of a God that is portrayed in at least the Old Testament. But it seems so many preachers, almost all of them, don't see that these ideas are diametrically opposed. A God of love and this God of with human characteristics that gets jealous and that is wrathful. I don't understand. They're intelligent people. Why don't they see that both can't be? You can't coincide the two. Okay, I'm done.
So your question is right at the end, why is it they don't understand that the Bible and many times other preachings and other religions sometimes contradict themselves? And you are correct in saying that this is done in the image of man. And so there is the understanding that we always say in the Bible, it says that God created man in his image. But it is probably more appropriate to say that man has created God in his image. And as a result, people do not find that dichotomy you are talking about in a loving God, that where you have a God that is loving as well as a God that is judgmental and condemning, because they see themselves reflected in their God. And so we can go into the history of religions if you wish. We have some time yet. But one of the things that we are talking about in religions is an evolution that takes place where people are, we will say, people, humankind on the face of the earth, they are aware of spirit because there are too many things that happen which indicate that life continues after death, because there are apparitions, there is communication. And as a result, they are aware of a life after death, and that death is not permanent. Many of the older religions all believed in reincarnation, that for a while you would go into the spirit world, you would live there for a while, but then you would come back to earth. And sometimes you would come in a different body. Sometimes they thought that they reanimated someone else's body, but we do not wish to go there. So looking at what they knew about nature and their limited understanding, there was the belief in the knowledge that life appeared to continue in every way after death. And so they had what they often believed was, you would terminate ancestor worship for a period of time. But then there were people who always known as mediums who were psychic and mediums, and the dead could talk through them. And they had to be very special people. Obviously, they became worshipped in their own way. They are the early priests, those people who could facilitate conversations and bring in knowledge from the dead, from the other side, that they could do this. And so they became your priesthood. And the priesthood somehow in their mysterious doings would have these special skills and have all different ways of divining things and knowing things. And so they gave advice, and they were very strong. And the priesthood, of course, it is human. And as a result, they requested donations, gold and silver, or whatever you had that was special, and they could make their offerings to God. And if you brought pigeons or lambs or sheep or goats or eggs, they got to keep it and eat it, because God has no need of food, but he received these offerings gladly and greatly. And the spirit aspect of them goes on and feeds God in heaven, and they get to eat the sheep and the goats and the eggs and the milk. And so this is this is how religion progressed. And the priesthood did everything it could to make itself more powerful, more influential. And so they limited much of the education on the people. This all kept them more powerful. They were sought after by those other people who had great power and were strong and became kings and other leaders of the people, and they made friends with them, and one hand washes the other. And so you have an official religion, and what the priests say go, and so that is it. Now, your modern preacher today is a descendant of those old preachers, and while many of them are motivated by bringing forth peace and harmony, and they want to help people, but the truth of the matter is that they have been brainwashed with the story that has been created, including the story of Jesus and the fact that he dies for our sins, that we are unworthy, and he died for our sins, and he is between God and us, and he has helped us. And they just keep it going, so to speak, because it is a powerful story that has been imitated and repeated in more than one religion over time. And there are religions, of course, that have sprung up, been prevalent for perhaps a couple hundred years or longer, and then slowly died away and been replaced by other religions. So
If I can interrupt you right there, this is all very important information and things to take into account. Through the many generations of these priests and ministers, however, there had to be some honest and intelligent individuals who actually were in communication with Jesus or Holy Spirit and received true information. There had to be some that did not teach the traditional teachings of the church, that once they learned, because their heart was pure and they sought after knowledge themselves, and they maybe meditated, did the things that you suggest we do and others, that they received the truth. Other than back in the days of the Inquisition, when they were put to death for heresy, being heretics, there have to be some. I don't know. Tell me what happened to those, the ones that actually received the truth and had their minds and their beliefs corrected through these years.
Well, some of them still have their religions. The great Buddha would be one that you would bring to mind. And what he taught was simple love and the four principles, and brought about, for those who follow him, great peaceful lives. And his words still continue today. Other religions, other priests, sometimes the God of these religions, let's put it this way, was not powerful enough to help the people in the ways that they wished to be helped, and they were soon discarded as gods to be followed. And the priests, yes, some of them may have found, and they may have had cult attractions that followed them, meaning a small group. We will not say that they, Jesus did not have a large following upon his death. It was the Apostle Paul which spread the word of Jesus out across the countryside. And so actually, yes, he is given the title of apostle, but he was not a follower of Jesus. He did not come to Jesus until after Jesus was dead. On his journey to, he was taking a journey and fell off his horse. He was struck down by lightning. He was blind for a period of time. And that's how he came to know Jesus. So that there have been many of these that have happened over the years and taught good things. But not everyone has been as successful as Jesus. The Buddha, he of course has been extremely successful. There were many lay people, such as Confucius, who spoke of right living and ethics and taught many, many great things. These people lasted time. Their teachings, many of them have died away. Buddhism and Confucianism still exist. And you can take from them what is good, and you can let go of what man has added to them, which is less than good. And so I hope you will understand that there were always good priests. There were always good preachers. There were always good some. And there were others who just followed the rituals and enjoyed the power and were what they were. So I hope that has been helpful for you.
It has been. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we have come close to the end of our session. And so therefore, I am going to say goodnight, and Juana will be here in just a moment. I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night.